Hello, welcome to the Meta Report. I'm Baz the Bard. Well, you know, I'm Westy, and I'm with Liam Trousers himself, Canning.
Hello,
How are you, Liam?
everyone. Yeah, I'm good. I was about to say trouserless, but that's not necessarily true. I am wearing some amount of clothing, I promise. Yeah, I'm doing well. No, it's picked up weather-wise nowadays, which is nice. It's been very chilly across the UK the last week or so. So glad that it's picking up
Yeah,
now.
definitely. We had
Excited
some
to
some
look at some
snow, which was
games.
very different for the
Mm.
UK.
Oh yes, definitely. I imagine that the Scots are used to it in some capacity, but even as close to Manchester where I am, it's a marvel to see any snow at all generally. So it's nice.
Right, well, yeah, so we're going to hopefully cover over the next few weeks the internationals for the UK and the Meta Report and stuff. We're taking obviously the torch on from Baz, who was a great stalwart in the community,
Yeah.
and we hope to do him proud really. So anyway, we've got a lot on offer. The events, we've got some gym packs and some promos. How are you feeling about these promos?
Oh, I mean, gem packs aside, which are one of the best store-based prizing that I've ever seen, coming from like playing many TCGs across the years. Just having that as an additional incentive to come to these events, the prizing for the top 8 has become so much better than it has over the course of the last kind of few years as they've kind of developed and gotten to a point now where we're actually seeing many cards in different versions of cold foil and rainbow foil, extended arts, different arts, especially cards that are sought after and like majestics like the Twin Drive, for example, palm of your hand, both majestic cards.
Very good
Twin Drive in
reprint.
particular being a card that's quite expensive, especially in on average. And then you saw with like the previous season of PQs, we had the outnumbered and the swing bigs as well. All great promos, all cards that go in decks, all for like decent meta staples. So there'll be cards that people will always want in one way or another.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially those cold foil auras. Got to get all of those Super Slam aura swag going on.
Yeah, definitely, and some great playmats as well. Call to the Grave and New Horizon. It's the reprint New Horizon art, but there's some really iconic artwork that the artists for Fab do. And I'll let you in a secret that the New Horizon mat is zoneless, so it doesn't have any zones.
I can't believe that. That's ridiculous. I mean, like I can only imagine the reason why. But I was just going to say how nice the zones look on them, in particular.
See, I'm a zone believer. I am, but but I know some people that are anti-zone, which is and like you mentioned, I think the reason is the New Horizon would need 2 zones for the arsenal, which they've done. Okay. They've done a few. I think Tri-Shot and there was another mat as well back in Tales of Aria day. Oh, I can't remember.
Tri-Shot from the first PQ did have 2. And then there was one. It must have been a ranger one in some capacity.
I'm
some
sure.
Ranger standard.
Someone will tell us hopefully in the comments. Like if they like it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But and then obviously the winner, there's a common and rare majestic gold foil up for grabs, which is great. Some new commons and rares in gold foil for your Sage decks for the new format.
Yeah, absolutely. But now better than ever, really, isn't it? So.
Yeah, definitely. Some of them, like Beaten Trackers, I know is a recent addition, and that's very nice. A staple for the brute class in the Sage format.
I know we've had like a few from the previous PQ season that are new inclusions, such as like the refraction bolters and stuff, which are all things that are like generally desirable. And then we have some of the ones that may be more desirable now going into the Sage inclusion in our like kind of competitive infrastructure. I remember seeing recently someone lamenting the idea of Prize Galea being a hit they had, but it could be that ends up being a rather sought after one if Olympia ever raise their head.
I hear some rumblings of Decimator Great Axe Olympia in the format.
Makes sense.
And obviously, kind of the main idea of the internationals, obviously top 4 getting an invite to the UK nationals. So obviously the main reason people are kind of turning out, and we're hearing obviously about these high level of attendance to all these RTNs around the world, and some record breaking events. Really, I think there's a 60 or 70 player event in Brazil which is crazy to hear.
Yeah.
And it's kind of testament to the effort that LSS is putting in to try and develop the scene and develop the game in general. And it kind of all leads to Sage and Pen release in February, really. So we look forward to that. Yeah. But anyway, so the meta for kind of this RTN season was kind of governed a lot by the kind of the recent BNR just before Christmas, really. We saw kind of the top dogs really all took a hit. We tried to, LSS said the meta was generally healthy, but they kind of wanted to shake it up, and I think it definitely has done that. What do you think has kind of really happened from these changes?
I think the general notion is that, in particular, the Earth Heroes, Mario and Gravy, have taken a hit to a point where they've kind of gone a step down to let other decks kind of compete with them on a consistent sense. And then we've looked at Syndra getting thrown in the bin. But and in a similar way, I suppose Fi kind of got hit astray as he usually does. It's like
still clinging on.
Inadvertently, yeah. He's been inadvertently hit and still kind of around as a result of that. Still, I think top of the LL leaderboard or very close to it. Hopefully Sage, injects him with enough draconic steroids that this isn't an issue for him. But in regards to Syndra, I think she's lost a lot of power to the point where a lot of the other aggro decks have stepped up to take her place, as opposed to it being a case with the other three decks where they're just, or 3 or 4 if you can include the other Earth Heroes, where they've just kind of pivoted to different cards and haven't necessarily felt that damage as much while they're still
definitely a smaller change
able to play their deck. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we did have one kind of major event straight after this change, which was Calling Hong Kong, which our local Jacob Clemens was obviously at, and we saw kind of that change slightly of Syndra definitely down was number 1 in the meta, is now down at 9, but still Gravy Verdant's holding on 19 and 12. But then we got these new kind of entries of KO at 20 and Kasai at 14. Mario still, hanging on there at 12 as well. How do you feel about this meta now? Do you think this is what you would have expected?
Yeah, I think this is an understandably an understandable pivot in terms of character choice. We're seeing characters like KO and Kasai coming up as decks with a consistent, strong value in their turn. So it's a good place to put yourself going into a new meta where we don't necessarily know basically what any sleeper decks, but we know that these decks were consistently good already, but just maybe a step too slow when you compare to the consistency of power of the other 3 and 4 decks. So they're the inevitable kind of evolution of the meta going into it.
Yeah. And I think kind of Dash.io and Cilio have kind of filled in that aggro kind of sense of within where Syndra fell off.
I think Dash, Cilio, and Prism in particular being kind of more specialist aggro decks, but decks that kind of fill that gap of the aggro decks that stop the mid-range slop, if you will, kind of dominating the meta. So nice that they're still in there in some capacity.
Yeah, definitely. So onto the top 8. Yeah, we saw kind of those value decks kind of doing well. Shoma was King of Swiss on Kasai, and also there was another Kasai down in 3rd as well. We got 2 Gravies as well, highlighted by Jacob and Brody, both Team Armory members. I believe they're on the same list. So
the young adult Wonder Kids. Yes. Not too much Wonder Kids nowadays.
just in the last few years. Just wonders now, no longer the kid title. But also an RKO, which I think is an interesting kind of tangent to this value-ish, slow it down, slightly meta of he was on not a full fatigue list, which I think were the main ideas of Underhanded Sheep, but kind of this value-ish pummel gameplay. He was on yellow pummel, I believe, as a little cheeky win.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, we saw kind of claimed this event. He kind of was on a similar list before without the rebounds, but with Fates. So it's kind of like Verdant's just like you say, Verdant's, Mario, Gravy still able to tussle for those top.
Still there. I think the most interesting thing about this, sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, the most interesting is we saw 20 KOs and only one of them in the top 8, which I think conversion-wise, I'm not sure what the day 2 conversion was like, but I don't think it was particularly good either.
No, I don't believe so.
Even with that being the case, that you still, at least there was one that was able to squeeze themselves into the top 8 and the top 4, but I think that in a sense is a really like bad conversion rate for a deck that was meant to kind of come in and I mean for I think for a lot of people to assume like dominate the meta. It has all the new tools from Super Slam and has always kind of been there as the deck that people look to as like the deck number 1 in a similar sense to how it was how it felt when they released Savage Sash. So I think it might. I'm hoping that it doesn't necessarily fold itself into the self-fulfilling prophecy of being like just under the expectations of everyone once again.
Okay, but anyway, let's move on to what the everyone's here for, which is the UK meta and what's gone on in the UK, really.
So everyone can see their names on the silver screen.
Yeah. So we had an event down in Kent. So Dice and Destiny, great store down there. Get some people that come over from London and the South Coast and stuff. A good range of heroes, which I think we always see at RTN level. Kind of got 4 Gravy still. So some people still believing in Gravy there. But 4, like we just said, 4 RKO.
Yeah, I'm very surprised.
Which is interesting.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like you said, like looking at the amount here, 20 heroes here. Obviously, I guess, like you said, in a more local scene, you're more likely to get a decent smattering. I guess it's kind of reminiscent of a calling in that respect. But I'm very surprised to see that 4 was the highest number of any deck here with 34 players, and then one of them being RKO. You can tell it's an area that prefers their value for sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the top 8. So good range of heroes. I think Ed Cardle was the King of Swiss at 5-0.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we've got 2 Gravy, so 2 of the 4 converting, which is quite good. And then we've also got a Jarl, a Katsu.
Katsu's an interesting one, actually. That's one that I wouldn't have pegged as getting there. The one of Katsu and the Jarl squeezing themselves in there. Very nice. So, I guess if I was to guess here on who was winning, I would say that I'll start at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'll say that I think the KO feels favored into the Jarl here, and I feel like they would have taken it. And in a similar sense, I feel like Arachne does a similar thing to Katsu, but just like more consistently. With the I guess the Katsus nowadays are favoring the Edge of Autumn build. I'm not sure how that does into Mario specifically, but I guess Mario does have the capacity to pivot between being aggressive and defensive, whereas I don't think Katsu necessarily has as much of an ability to do that. So I feel like that, while also having access to like obviously the very powerful small hand plays like Codex, means I feel like they would probably take it. The Gravy Mirror is just a mirror, so I just have to choose who I think I like the name of more. So I mean, Adrian Queck is a great name. I don't know any of these players. I'm familiar with Jack Warren, but the other names don't come to my mind.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. Like there is a lot of new names coming out in these top 8s, and it's not like Dice and Destiny doesn't have any players that I would know of as well. Like you've got the guys from over in Brighton and stuff like that normally go across. So it's really nice to see these new players getting into top 8s and potentially new players coming into the game as well, which is hopefully going to be a good thing from Penn and Sage.
Yeah, it's really nice to see.
Obviously from. So you going for Toby or Adrian?
I think I'll go with Toby. You can't ever bet against a Beckham in the United Kingdom. So.
And I hear you're an Acilio master. So tell me, Acilio Verdance.
No, well, okay, Acilio should be favored, but right, I feel especially now that like the Verdants would have to commit 2 cards to get their first decompose out, means that the first if they wanted to do a felling or a plow under that one is usually a low powered, so they'd have to do maybe like a tilling instead, which is just raw damage, which you're usually quite happy with. In that sense, if anything, actually, that could facilitate your combo more and give you access to your helmet to then just go absolutely crazy. But Ed was King of Swiss, is that what you said? Yeah. So
yes.
I feel like they never go past the quarterfinals, so I'm worried about picking Acilio here. But I think, like, in a realistic sense, I would choose him to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if he loses
now. Okay. So you're wrong. Verdance won.
I mean, I was half right. That's fine. I'm surprised about the Katsu, actually. That's actually the one I'm more surprised about, but maybe there's something there that I'm not particularly aware of myself. But yeah. I mean,
No, I do. I've played a bit of Katsu in my time, and I think it is kind of like, I think you do have the benefit of the current lists of like Assassin are running 2 blocks and stuff like that. So sometimes if you just run off with the surging whelming lines, you can
just draw combo pieces.
But,
yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Right. So what are you favouring in the top 4? Verdance, Gravy.
Now it's a bit interesting. I mean, I feel like Gravy should be Verdance. I feel like that's consistently been the case. So I would bet on Gravy there, and then KO into Katsu. I feel like that's just a full-on race, and I think in that sense, I feel like if KO's Scowling Fleshbag is able to hit a relevant card in the Katsu's hand, what a 0 they might want to discard or anything like that. And also, I'm noticing that Jack is higher seed, so they would have had the choice between first and second, which I also think is probably quite relevant. So I feel like KO would edge them out there in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, so KO Gravy. So KO was correct. Verdance beats Gravy.
There are a few ways I could see this happening. One of them could be that the Gravy's not running AB, and then they just got killed over.
I've definitely seen lists go down to 1 AB,
absolutely,
and just die to Waning Moon and Tempo. And
in
stuff,
a similar sense as well, I've seen some Verdance lists like similar to the way that Matt Rogers played it in a calling prior to the bans, where they went a more fatigue route and they were playing stuff like Ripple Aways and Routeds to kind of deprive them of gold, which I think could especially be relevant now. So I could definitely see that with an aggressive slant winning, especially if the Gravy's deck just doesn't cooperate with them at all. So okay, we're going into this then.
Verdance KO.
I mean, I always would bet on a wizard personally. However, I do think in this matchup it can come down to a few factors. Obviously, KO in a sense is quite random, and now that you have less of a capacity to block well for your first decompose or get there early, it could be that you're a turn too slow. But I think I'll give it to the wizard. I've been wrong before betting against them, so I'll bet.
Well, you were right this time. Yeah, Kevin won. As much to the despise of my ex-local Jack, who's been on KO the whole time. But
yeah, 100%. Commiserations to them.
That was good.
Hopefully they came out with the their preferred choice of mat instead. Then, do we know what the gold foil was?
Yes. Yes. So the gold foil was Time Skippers.
Oh, okay.
Not the best pull, but
no. I mean, with nowadays, we don't know what is a good pull or not. With the with Sage being a new injection into the common and rare like gold foil pool, we could see those cards go up in after Compendium. I could definitely see Time Skippers being one of those cards.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so on to event 2. So Thistle Tavern up in Aberdeen. Great great store run by Brainer and also sponsor for Team Toxic.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Thank you, Rena.
Shout out Thistle Tavern.
They had 27 players. And they also had a foot of snow apparently on the day.
Yeah, I'm surprised they got that many players.
They apparently had a few more.
Wow. Yeah.
So a very different meta here. We've got 5 Mario and 4 Prism.
Okay, yeah. I mean, this looks more akin to kind of a meta I would expect going into like day week 1 of RTNs. I mean, yeah, like I think you were about to say, notably no gravies, notably no Florian. I don't think we had any Florians in the previous one either. Maybe we had one. We had one.
No, Florian has been low in the UK.
I think we'll expect to see more of that as we go on, because I think in particular we've seen like it do well in this first week, and so I think people will probably look to pivot into that for the future. But Prism and Mario are 2 very powerful proactive decks that do things that are very frustrating for an opponent, and if they don't have applicable answers to, can snowball out of control. So it makes sense for them to be characters that people would pick up going into an unknown meta, as they can just do their own thing and ask you the question. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Right, so top 8. So we got a few new names here as well that I don't normally see from the Scottish meta. We've obviously got Daniel Winning is a regular on Verdance. I think he's been playing Verdance since Verdance came out, really. Yeah.
Justin as well,
and also notably Justin. Yeah, he recently top forward the Battle Hardened at Edinburgh. Yeah. So but he was playing Florian then, but he's playing Ira now. So that's a conscious decision. I think he loved Florian, so maybe he doesn't think it's good enough.
Yeah, I'm interested to know what his reasons for changing for Ira, but clearly it's worked out for him here, top 18. So hopefully, if he continues to do well and see if he wins this, I don't know. You tell me, or I'll guess it right, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, we got some guessing. We got some guessing. Got some different matchups here. We got from the bottom, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do it from the bottom again. I feel like in terms of like an Ira KO, I would say is similar to the Katsu, but an Ira plays more in a value sense. So I feel like in that regard, a KO should outvalue them. The Ira has the capacity to have disruption in their deck, which might be beneficial to them into a KO, such as Weakest Links, which can be quite good if they hit a KO at the right time. I'm not sure what version Justin would be playing, because I know that there is the capacity to play Edge of Autumn, but I think generally most of them are playing Kadachis. Because there isn't really a reason. It is kind of funny how both of the Katsu and Ira kind of swapped in that respect. Just have like a handshake agreement to swap weapons and cards for them. With that being the case, I would, and with Osama being higher seed, I would give KO that one, I think. And then going into Marlin into Arachne, I do think Arachne should realistically have that, mainly because they have the disruption, and then also they have reactions, so they have the capacity to block with multiple cards over the overpower, and they also have a very strong D-Rex into Demarlin, and if they have the hat and they use it to turn into a trapdoor, they also have the capacity to like outvalue them on a particular turn, which could hold the Marlin hostage if they ever want to go into like a naked hook. So I would give Mario that one. Prism and
then
Verdant.
Prism Verdant.
Historically, Prism is not the best matchup for Verdant. If anything, it's probably one of her worst. Obviously, there are particular situations if you are the Verdant where you can just 4-TO the Prism, and a lot of that usually is the Prism's deck not functioning or not seeing their library or not hitting well on their Fabled. And if that is, or if you are able to block them well with poppers and like your D-Rex and stop them from hitting for multiple turns until they miss on a turn or two and use some auras. So that can definitely happen. But I think in a general sense, I would give it to Prism, even if the Verdant is Mr. Winning himself and has that buff on him. So I think that would be my guess. And then going into the last.
Yeah, I would think that's fine.
Personally, I think Kasai is just like a worse version of Mario, at least in terms of like aggressive capacity. So in a straight one-on-one, as said by our good friend, teammate, and Mario aficionado Imad Kashi, Kasai is a buy, so I would probably give it to Mario there.
Yeah, and also said by our other teammate Matt Brown. He says Mario is currently the best warrior.
100%.
So
we'll give a warrior.
So we'll have a look.
Pretty good. Okay, nice. Wow.
So you went 4 for 4. 4 for 4. Yeah, easy.
It gets a bit harder from here, honestly, but
yeah, it definitely does.
I mean, the Prism Mario is entirely dependent, I think, on how much the Mario decides to respect Prism. But I think like that's generally the case. I would guess going into this, considering there is only one Prism of the 4, that there is a decent amount of respect in the room. So I will, and they are first seed, so there's a capacity for them to have played before. So my guess is that they are properly respected Prism and therefore probably take that game. And then I think because Osama is third seed, I would give them the edge, but only slightly, because I think that matchup can come down to a few factors. But I think play draw could be one of them.
Yeah, I think a draw and Blood Rush Bellow drawn and stuff 100%. Like that. It's a close one for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Clearly you didn't respect him enough. So yeah.
No.
But that's okay. I feel bad though for Simon, because this matchup is worst. It's one of the worst matchups though.
Getting this far and then you get a KO.
Yeah, there were 2 KOs in the room, so I would have felt quite good going into this room as a Prism, honestly. But yeah, I would have to give it to KO. I think this matchup is not good on a good day. So, but if I was Simon, I'd be happy to walk away with second place and a cool map for it. So. Okay, yeah. The miracle play. Yeah, you get like one turn and you're like, I hope this works. And if they draw like no blocks, then you're happy. But if then they randomly, if they say no blocks, you're either terrified or you're laughing. So it really comes down to like one window of opportunity. And it doesn't seem like they had a good one. So
yeah, and the gold foil was Spider's Bite. So.
Oh, okay.
Used to be a very good one.
A bit late.
Yeah.
Yes.
It used to be a lot more used than it is currently, but maybe another assassin on the horizon might use it. Right. And on to the third and final event of the weekend. Langden. So Langden is down in Ipswich. I frequented quite a few times. It's about an hour away from me. So I was at this event. I'll let you in on secret. I was playing Verdance.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, unfortunately, as someone who loves the Yappa Bar, you were very aware of. You made it very aware to all of us how well you did, how well everyone else did, including some of our good friends, David Karff, teammate Matt Brown, amongst others as well.
Yeah. So just a quick note on the meta, really. again 4 gravy. So clearly people still believing gravy is good enough to play even without the char ban. And 3 Dorinthia, which was surprising on the day. There was 2 Dawnblades and 1 Hatchets.
Okay, Hatchets is interesting actually. I suppose if you wanted to be cool and not play Kasai, that's something you could do. Obviously, we had that time before in the heavy hitters meta where people were playing Hatchets as it was technically a bit more value over a turn by turn basis weapon wise than Kasai. But I think nowadays with the support Kasai has gotten, it would make more sense to play Kasai, but maybe they know something that we don't. So.
Right, well, go on to the top 8, and as you say, David Calf was 5-0. He's the recent battle-hardened Edinburgh winner on Syndra. Obviously, can't play Syndra now. Doesn't feel as good enough. And there's some other names there. Adam Parker, I think, is local as well. There's obviously there's Benjamin Westmore guy. I don't know who he is.
I haven't heard of him before. Usually you find him in the Silver Age side events.
Yes, that's like a fake format lover that I am.
Yeah.
100%. And Chris Chalk on Kasai, who's a Peterborough local, and also then down there, the bottom, our other teammate Matt Brown on Mario as well. So, do you want to have a go at the matchups here?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've kind of forgotten some of them, so that helps. I know I would, even though he is the lower seed, I would put Matt Brown as the winner there, just because I know he's put a lot of work into the Mario deck. So I feel like in a mirror, he would have an edge in a similar sense to what we were saying previously. I would give Phil with Mario over Kasai with Christopher. I think Vince should basically almost always be RKO unless something particularly goes bad. I mean, if they roll scalp skins every turn, then they probably and they get like very lucky, they could maybe like pull ahead enough on life. But I think with the amount of life gain you have and general value per hand, especially when you are incentivized to block in the matchup, I can't see a reason why you would lose that outside of like God smiling upon.
I'll let you in on a secret card. Arg Smash exists.
Yes, true. I think that's something that's interesting. I know there's a capacity for the RKO to fatigue with Arc Smash, and I know that some of them are also playing some tempo cards like Poison the Well, which can be quite good when you try and sigil them to go over them in response to like a Mocking Blow or something. So those are definitely cards that they to be aware of if you are playing against an RKO. So I wouldn't lean fully into the Pots plan, but it's something that you should probably put in your decks just to like as a strong value play to like flip the life totals if you need. And then, as we said before, I think KO should just absolutely smash the Prism. So
You went 4 for 4. Easy.
I promise that time I was just using my my intuition and not cheating. But
The RKO didn't have any Arc Smashes in its list. He had 1 Poison the Well.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes things much easier for you. 100%.
Yeah, he played quite good. He was a X Magic guy. Apparently, he played when the early sets of Fab, and then he dropped off, and he's been back for about half a season.
Well, glad to see him back. Yeah, definitely. So, well, I mean, Matt Brown, in a similar sense, another old Magic punter. Myself also. Nothing notable about me though, but Matt has been a very proficient Magic player, top 8 multiple GPs. So he knows what he's doing, unlike me. So, but I mean, in that sense, I would say we go into this. I mean, I unfortunately I do remember the rest of this now. So I believe, unfortunately, David Calf does get the edge over you in this, and I believe Matt also beats Phil.
Yes.
And then David wins at the end.
No.
Getting colorful.
Matt.
Is that wrong? Or is it? Oh, okay. Oh, well, there we go. Clearly, I didn't remember good enough. I mean, that makes sense to me in a general sense, as I do feel that Mario should be favored on average, but it's still.
Me and David had a close game. I got 2 Earth on turn 0, but then he did back-to-back Blood Rush turns, and It was a close game,
classic
but
brew.
classic brew stuff. And Matt, I think he won 4 Mario mirrors on the day.
Yeah.
So he's clearly showing his proficiency with the deck now, and he's getting very good.
The Karate Kid to Takashi's Mr. Miyagi.
Sadly, we don't actually know what the gold foil is because it hadn't arrived. But I did get a message today that the package has come, so hopefully we'll know by next week. Hopefully,
very nice.
We can let you know then. But apart from that, that was the last UK event. But we did actually already get the info because LSSR goated and clearly get all the information out as soon as possible. But it was very interesting. It was not what I thought was going to happen. So Gravy won the most events. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's the most interesting. I mean, in a generic, like, worldwide macro sense, it does make sense being a deck that has so many like free wins in a way. You do have the capacity to just like come out and just play the right matchups and just win. A lot of the matchups that aren't free wins have the capacity for you to win if things go well for you. And I suppose there are some senses where it could just be that people defaulted to that as a deck that they already were playing, and of the free decks that were hit, or 3 or 4, it was probably the one that was hurt the least from them all, even if that might not necessarily be an agreed upon topic coming out of the first week of the RTN. I think a lot of people would look to it as the one of the better choices just to kind of default and feel comfortable on. So I expect that number to go down, or at least not be as different as everyone else going into the next couple of weeks, but it's something to look towards for sure. And I think we can kind of see with the rest of the wins going into the RTN season that's a very balanced amount of wins outside of the Gravy. Got the 2 warriors in quotations, and then a smattering of like earth and aggro decks under that. Fang in particular is something that I'd like to point out as having a decent showing, especially since if you look at the other like results we've had in the UK, at least it hasn't really shown up. And in a similar sense, Florian as well, like we spoke about earlier, the 4 wins there. So I think going into the next week, I should expect an uptick of those kind of decks, and maybe a decline of the more comfortable picks that people are choosing going into this first week.
Yeah, I think it also kind of highlights the usual thing about that, you're only as good as your local meta. So like there is you can really show up on these fringe heroes, and as long as you know what you're doing against all these other heroes, you can win. There's quite a lot of heroes there on 2, 1, 3 wins. Like you can if you know what you're doing on Vinset, on Valda, on Riptide, you can win these events.
Yeah, well, one notable one there that I think it had its first LL points with Pleiades.
Yes, Pleiades won an event. Yes.
LL points we've had. Yeah, unfortunately, to the dismay of our beloved captain George Rogers, he was hoping to get the first LL points for Pleiades on his pet deck, but
a little story of
unlucky.
Check Engine Light went 05.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
we won't go into that. But anyway. So obviously we'll hopefully be back next week to cover next week's events. There's one in Fanboy 3, which I assume you were there. Are you judging or?
Yes. No, I've been helping some of the other community members get their judging reps in. So one of the other locals, shout out to Cody.
Nice.
He will be judging. So I'll be playing for once. Usually I don't play at the Fanboy 3 events. Usually I'm running. So I'll be there.
Nice.
And in a similar sense, I'll also be at the Living Realms one on the Sunday. And I intend to try and play a different hero every RTN that I go to. I'm currently booked in for at least 3 of them. So I'm hoping to bring some funny decks to the top 8s of these for our meta reports. But we'll see.
Well, I'll get to guess those ones.
Yeah.
There's a doubleheader in London as well. Bad Moon Cafe and B9, both supporting Fab for a long time now and gang events. Excelsior and Bristol. has a massive scene at the moment, and hopefully it'll probably be a 30, maybe even 40 player event, which would
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
And
well, from what I know, Fanboy is slowly approaching the 30 mark at a good velocity. I mean, there's some worry that it might even cap at the 60 mark with the general notion of how TCG players never buy tickets in advance.
No, they don't. They definitely don't.
Going, I would suggest buying a ticket. Please do. It helps very much. But yeah, I get Bristol, a great place to go play. London, one of the main hubs of Fab in the UK. So I think next week will be an absolutely jam-packed day or week of events and games.
I'm actually foraying into judging as well. Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So I'm judging Birmingham.
Nice.
I committed before I knew that I needed to play all these RTMs for XP.
Well, there you go.
But
you don't need to play anymore.
No, luckily not. But yeah, that should be good. I think we've got 29 players pre-registered. So
amazing. Yeah, we're getting we're hitting these 30 marks consistently, which is great to see for an RTN. So I can only imagine what the PQ season will look like coming into the new year. The only other thing that I would mention is that we do intend to have a spreadsheet or a tally of everyone's qualifications. So everyone should make sure to tune in and see, because I know it could be quite difficult to really know where you stand. We'll have a qualified player list, and we'll also have a leaderboard for the XP, which I'll be doing, hopefully be ready for next week. So we'll be able to show you all how everyone's doing, so you can really gauge where you are, because it can be quite hard to know XP wise, especially because it's only particularly in the RTN window. So hopefully that helps everyone out.
Yeah, I think that leads into the good thing of thank you, Liam. Thank you for being part of this and getting this off the ground again. We kind of taken the reins from Baz, who's taken a step back from Fab, which he's going to try and be at the events, the local event, big events, and maybe nationals and stuff. But we're hoping that it's a really important thing to cover the UK meta and share some people's results. They try really hard to get in these top 8s and win these events, so it's really nice to be able to share the people that are winning in the UK and get all the
100%. I mean, it's nice to be able to provide something for the community, and a lot of people might know us around, but I know in particular, at least for myself, I'm not very much spoken in terms of like a digital sense. I barely frequent the Discord. I'm more of a lurker in that sense, so I'm happy to be able to do this for them and the UK in general, because I love the community. Everyone's so nice. Never had a bad experience in the UK generally.
No.
And Baz is always such a stalwart for that for the UK, so it's happy. I'd like to thank him for letting us passing on the torch to us and being our progenitor, and hopefully we are able to continue to keep his legacy going on in a good way, and hopefully be able to commit to more things that he might have not been able to commit to now, such as, for example, the Baz Brawl that he also does himself every month. So hopefully keep an eye on that and see if we're able to do something in that regard.
Yeah, and just a little thank you to Thistle Tavern. Really, they're the sponsor for our team, and they try very hard to keep all of Fab in stock and try and go to all the events and stuff. And they recently, over the Christmas break, released a deck importer, so you can import your deck from February directly. And build all that bulk up for those new Sage decks that you're going to be needing to build, rather than going on Card Market, having to get all your individual commons and rares and trying to find sellers. Just import your deck list, get all your commons and rares from them, ship it out in the day.
I know that's where I buy all of my stuff. I would do that even if I wasn't sponsored in any way, because it's a lifesaver having that available in the UK, especially with how Card Market and like Brexit and everything has made it almost impossible to buy bulk from one person without it costing an arm and a leg through tax and shipping. So that's always amazing. It always arrives on time, so fast and like well packaged. So I've only really started buying like a lot of bulk recently, because usually I just would open product, but when I do it through Thistle Tavern, because it's well priced and also very easy to do. So
well, well, yeah. Apart from that, that's the last thing. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll hopefully be back next week to do the
see you
the week after that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. All right. I noticed I was an idiot and didn't press record until like the third slide. So.
Okay. Yeah.